All right. Good afternoon, everyone, advisory board members and our public. Welcome to the May 21st, 2024 Rec Center Advisory Board meeting. And at this time, I will turn to Ms. Kathy Myers for our roll call, please.
Leah Lexicos.
Here.
Carrie Boldman. Sue Doherty. Elliot Dyer.
Here.
Rich Finneran. Tondra Frisbee.
Here.
Blake Harris.
Here.
Jerome Johnson.
Here.
Drew Meredith.
Here.
John Orzak.
Here.
Dan Rambler.
Here.
Darlene Walk. Jason Whirling.
Here. Thank you. And may I get a motion to excuse, let's see, Rich Finneran, Carrie Boldman, Darlene Walk, and Miss Sue Doherty, please.
So moved. Second.
All right. And with those motion in a second, they have been excused. Thank you. And without further ado, may I get a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on May 14th, 2024? May I get a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. And with those motions, the minutes from the meeting on May 14th are approved. At this time, as we normally do, I will now open the floor to any members of the audience that wish to speak for our 20-minute public comment period. I ask that if you do come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Yashika Brown, and I reside at 2002 Campbell Street within the city. So a few questions that I have regarding the rec and the programming. I know at the last meeting it was discussed that the city, even though we own the the city owns the golf course, a parcel of land was purchased. And how much did we pay for that land? And that money that was utilized, did that come out of the budget for, the projected budget for the rec program? It was discussed amenities that are needed, sports equipment or whatever the case may be for the rec program. I just wanted to know, to see where that money was coming from, if it is deducted from what would be utilized for the rec. Also, I see that there is a nice program made out for a lot of the programs that are offered with, not in the city, as far as recreation activities. I can only speak for myself, my son. I do drive out of Sandusky to Port Clinton, Norwalk, and the Fremont Rec. Know that we had discussed membership fees and dues. I can say that, no, I am not poor, but I am part of the working poor, okay? It is, the fees that I pay are non-membership fees because I am not a member of that community. So for the members of our community, what membership fees is it going to be affordable to them? I had stated maybe we can do or suggest, like based off their income, sliding fees. Of course, like Mr. Johnson stated, a hardship application. But again, a lot of our families in this community do receive services from Job and Family Services, the SNAP benefits. So I would hope that we would make sure that it's affordable to our youth. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. And let me see, next up, I will turn the floor to Miss Amy Moore.
Thank you.
Yes, you're
Thank you
welcome.
for the accommodation. I don't stand very well anymore in my old age. And we'll determine that I'm very old here in just a minute. I'm Amy Bowman Moore. I'm 613 Dorn Drive, Sandusky. I've lived in Sandusky for 15 years. Love ya. I'm speaking to you from two aspects, and I'm asking for an open mind. First, I'm a 15-year resident and a taxpayer. Second, I'm a recently retired, Parks and Recreational professional. I was in the Parks and Recreation profession for 20 years. During that time, I was a member of the Parks and Recreation Association. I've had the privilege of working alongside your award-winning recreation department several times for several years. I hope this community has value and realizes the fantastic recreation department that you have. While during my 20 years, I was a member of the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association. For that time, for 7 years, I was on the board, and I was privileged to serve as their president for the years of 2021 to 2022. Just to give you an idea of the scope of the Park and Recreation Association, they have 179 agencies that are members, 163 corporate members, and 2,445 individual members. So it's not an association where you just get a magazine every quarter and they just kind of say hi. It is keeps everybody together in the Parks and Recreation profession for the entire state of Ohio. So see, I am old. See, that's where I've established I am old. I appreciate Branstad Carroll. They are a corporate member of Ohio Parks and Recreation. They also live 50 miles away, and you probably paid them for a report, so that means they're golden. I have respect for them, but I'm asking you to keep an open mind. I don't know what the report says. I only know what I've experienced and what I've had to manage through. As a member of the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association, the reason I tell you that is because I've had experience with all different types of parks and recreations in Ohio. City park recs, county park recs, conservation district, recreation districts, you name it, all of it. The business model that is the most vulnerable to economic downturns, national, city, county, anything, is a membership model. I'm asking you to please have an open mind for a different type of business model for your venture. I'm also not sure if the recreational immunity that you're provided will be voided under Ohio Revised Code 1533.18 if you charge a membership. I understand, because I did watch the minutes from last week, that Branstad Carroll or someone mentioned that $450,000 may be needed in your budget due to the great job that Mr. Orzak, I still want to call you Chief, Mr. Orzak does, and the staff does, that would be 1.5% of the city budget, which would be a great support to the recreation department, since you carry over 20% of your annual budget, which is an outstanding job, and I appreciate you as a taxpayer. I really do. But for 13 years of my Parks and Recreation profession, I was the executive director of Erie Metro Parks. We had a revenue versus expense business model. We had no economic fluctuations, and that was during a pandemic. I did not lay anyone off. We kept on with our programs as we could. One great example is our summer camps, which we usually do for 35 children, we were able to do for 150 children because we took the skills to the child's house, but we didn't miss a beat. I saw total devastation in membership model, business models. Please don't put yourself out there to that vulnerability. Erie Metro Parks, just to let you know, is its own political subdivision. It stands alone. It doesn't have the county backing. People think it's a county division. It's not. It's its own business. It depends on two property tax levies, a 0.5 and a 0.6. Both of those property tax levies are 10 years long, but they're 5 years staggered. So every 5 years, I got to see how my constituents and voters felt about me. In 2010, we passed a levy by 50.74 approved, 49.26 no. Do those numbers sound familiar to you? Because you just passed a levy at 50.4% yes, 49.6% no. We at Erie Metro Parks had alienated our constituents. Our staff had to back up and regroup and figure out what we were doing wrong. Well, we figured out what we had been doing wrong. We had lost the service to our community. We had to get back to that. In 2023, Erie Metro Parks provided 300 programs for free, servicing 25,000 people in this county. In 2020, a pandemic year, we were on the ballot. And keep in mind, if one of these levies don't pass, that's half. Half of the budget in Erie Metro Parks would not exist. It has been around for 56 years. It wasn't going to happen on my watch. But in 2020, the year of the pandemic, Erie Metro Parks passed the levy with 78% yes and 22% no. We found our service. We found how to do it again. So every township was yes. We didn't fail in any, no precinct failed us. Please don't make the mistake that we did and alienate and ostracize and even segregate your constituents. Don't go through what I had to do. It took me 10 years to get it back. So pretty soon later this year, we'll be Erie Metro Parks will be opening their $4.6 million nature center, which will not have a loan on it, and will be free for everybody. So please keep an open mind. The membership business model, I feel as a professional and as a taxpayer, would be a grave mistake. And I just wanted that to be heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that professional insight. We appreciate it. Is there anybody else that would like to step up? Again, if you could, for the record, please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Talib Garrett. I live at 512 Scott Street. I've read the 82 document page, and there's a couple of questions I got concerned. We got Norwalk, that's 15 minutes away. Bellevue, that's 20 minutes away. Fremont is a half hour away. They all got pools. They all got saunas. They all got steam rooms. Norwalk got a $25 gym membership. And I heard you guys talking about fees. And my question is, what can you provide me as a family of 8 that I'm willing to pay $375 to go to Norwalk to go swimming when people here want a pool, but there's no pool or a sauna or a steam room? I saw you got a 300-seat conference room for a rec center. Why? Then for the track, there's a 4-lane track. I saw that you guys want to do a indoor track meet. Most indoor track meets are done in universities because it's 10 lanes. And then I saw that your blueprint that the track meet is above the basketball court. And I just think that if you want to do a track meet, you got to do it around the basketball court, down on the floor, above on the ground. And it got to be at least 10 lanes or 8 lanes. And gymnastics, I saw that gymnastics is going to be on the basketball court. We done that before at the YMCA, and it's powdery. So that's another reason YMCA charged us like $8 when I was like 10 years old, 11 years old. And then it'd be all powder everywhere from gymnastics. So I'm thinking, take away the conference room for 300 seats, which we got conference rooms from here to Coffee House to out there at the pier and everywhere else, and make that a gymnastics. And then I also like you guys to talk to Fast Pitch Lady Lightens, BOB Basketball Club, Sandusky Lions Wrestling, Sandusky AMVETS. Those are the people you need to reach out to for kids events. And that's about it. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Garrett.
Justin Ketzel, 535 Mick Street. I don't know if you guys use rec centers. I've traveled over the last several years, been to a number of different rec centers. I don't know if you guys are keeping in mind not only locally to the citizens, the people who live here, but how are you guys going to accommodate guests, visitors? We do host the Ironman Triathlon. You have a lot of people that are going to come in that want a place to swim. Since we are a tourist community, you have a lot of families that come in. Mom and dad may want, hey, while the kids are playing a game, they want to go somewhere to get a workout in, whether it's aside from Planet Fitness, if we're offering amenities such as what he mentioned, like what Ernsthausen offers, hot tubs, jacuzzis, steam rooms, saunas. Those are very great therapeutic amenities to offer for people that either, like, I go to Ernsthausen frequently. I couldn't tell you the number of people that utilize not only the pool, but also the hot tub and the saunas just for therapeutic reasons. I don't know if those are things that you guys are thinking about aside from just catering, not catering, but going towards the youth. The youth is a tremendous thing to look at, but there's also the elderly population that can use amenities to make it useful as well. When he was talking about the competition between Norwalk, Bellevue, Fremont, have you guys considered partnerships? Partnering with them, Ernsthausen does a similar thing, where you buy a membership to Ernsthausen, but you can also utilize the pools at, it's like 3 or 4 other places, Bellevue and other places, because the people that live here that are currently going to Ernsthausen or elsewhere, your biggest selling point is going to be time, commute. But aside from that, what else are you guys going to draw your locals in to get them to come to here versus going elsewhere? Just things for you guys to think about and take into consideration.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We got a few more minutes. Is there anyone else that would like to comment?
Sometimes I have to take off my badge. My name is Patricia Ruffin. I will say that I don't live in Sandusky, but I've worshiped, I work there, and I work with all the kids and the families in our district. And one thing that I think about is children and adults coming together and working out and playing under one roof. And when I was younger and had a child, one of the greatest joys for me was that she was under the same roof. When I went to work out, she was in another area in the same building. It kept me from having to travel to send her to a daycare and then me go work out somewhere else. It just makes sense that children and adults are under the same roof. That's my biggest thing, is we play together as a family. You come home, you talk about that game that the kids played, but how much mom or dad lifted or did an aerobic class. To Mrs. Moore's point, when we were at the Osborne Park, they actually had free workout programs. I was introduced to yoga for the first time many years ago. They would bring in free programs. And other than that, single mom, didn't have money coming in very much. That's how I stayed fit. But also, even at that point, there were children, they were able to play outside in the same area. I feel like it hasn't been mentioned that on that last paper, it said, what do we want the recreation to consist of? And I was like, kids, moms and dads. I mean, it seems like nobody talked about it. They were more involved with how much the fee was gonna be, but okay, so I paid a fee to go to Planet Fitness. Yeah, it's cheap, but then I still gotta run my gas over here to get my kid from somewhere else. And that was one of the things that the YMCA did for me. Me and my family under the same roof, enjoying the same kind of health benefits and enjoying it all from the Metro Parks to the YMCA. And I want to continue to see our kids. I don't want us, she used the word segregated, and that is unacceptable. Any kind of segregation is unacceptable when you think about we coming together and enjoying each other as a unit in our community. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. All right, so that will conclude our public comment period. At this time, I will go ahead and lean on my amazing staff to go ahead and maybe address some of those questions. I will, before I allow that, I will just say, just to kind of put things into perspective, I oftentimes, you hear about the comparisons between our future rec and nearby recs, whether that be Norwalk, Bellevue, Fremont, et cetera. Please keep in mind that the cost to build today is far greater than it was, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Therefore, unfortunately for us, our dollars won't stretch in terms of square footage and perhaps amenities. But that is why that's why this advisory committee is just tasked with the, all-important job of really trying to make the best of what, of what we have available to work with. So without further ado, I would like to maybe see if we could answer some of Ms. Brown's comments regarding the golf course, the acquisition, and where those dollars had come from.
So, through the chair, I don't know what the exact cost was for that. I don't have that information with me. I would say that the money did not come out of the rec program. The city administration, since 2021 and through current, has committed 20 years of $700,000 for the rec center to construct it. That's our budget, and we're committed to that. So whatever dollars that we've collected through admissions tax prior to that has no bearing on that commitment. The pool question, the city has worked with the schools. We have a memorandum of understanding through their pool expansion program, or pool expansion, aquatic center, and as part of that agreement, the city donated $500,000, and the public is going to have access to that facility. Mr. Rambler, myself, and some others have been meeting regularly to discuss how that's going to look. So although we're not going to have a pool at the rec center, the city committed substantial amount of money for that project, along with foundations that, and the school's commitment to the community to have access. And we appreciate the partnership and the huge undertaking that the schools and the administration has done through that. So although we won't have an on-site pool, we will have community access. Our children will learn how to swim, and we'll have open pool times and different times that the pool will be available for our community. So that's the pool piece. I will add that the Ernhausen, if we had a Ernhausen family that donated the amount of money that they did to construct the pool in the center there, we would certainly take that donation. It was a substantial donation. The city of Norwalk has to continue to operate it and obviously maintain it, but that community received a substantial philanthropic donation in order to pull that off. That's all the questions that I can remember at this time, unless I missed some. I'd be happy to answer any other ones.
Appreciate it, Mr. Orzech, and any other staff would like to make any comments.
Through the chair on that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. So the indoor track thing, so it's a walking 3-lane track. It's not meant to be an indoor track for athletic events or like a competition track. It's sort of like out there at Sports Force general, and I've seen them at other rec centers. There's 2 lanes that you usually walk one way one day and the other way another day, and the joggers run one way and another way. I don't know if, I guess it's wear and tear, but it's never intended to be an indoor competition track or anything like that. That was the #1 amenity that the community had asked for as part of this survey. So I apologize for interrupting, Jason.
Through the chair, just an update on the, I had to remind myself what the total was, but that was $365,000 that the city paid for the Mills Creek Golf Course. And that was to take over, there was about a $40,000 payment that the city was making as a lease for about half the golf course, and that was to end the lease and then make that purchase of the golf course.
Can I follow up on that question? Was that amount the lease per year then, I assume?
The lease was and it incrementally went up.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Any other board members like to comment at this time?
Yes, if I may, just to follow up on the pool part, I think that, it is that unique partnership because we are building a aquatic center behind the high school, which if you drive back there, you can see the wall going up pretty well, and the pool itself is actually nearly complete. The underneath part of it, they have to go in and actually put the pool in, but that's going to be done as we move into the next calendar year. We're also excited that within about a month, we're going to be able to announce a partnership that we've been able to cultivate between the school district and the city and another partner who is going to really enable that community access part of the pool. As we've looked into this over the time, our pool is used about 30% of the time that it could be used by our swim team, Swan Club, different lessons that we do. There's another 70% of the time, which is a lot of time that the pool can be used by the community, and it can be used for lap swimming, aerobics, recovery after you have some sort of medical item, individuals that are pregnant or postpartum, fire department, virtually any option. And some things can coexist at the same time. You could have lap swimming and other programming, and it's built in a way that not only for competition, but it also has an expanded stairway into the pool. So if somebody has some reduction in the ability to walk, there's rails as you enter into the pool down a stairwell, so it'll be very supportive of that. I think that's an exciting opportunity for the community. There's going to be a pool that is going to be accessible for a large portion of time, but it was done through collaboration with the Sandusky Education Foundation, a ton of people that donated towards the project, the district, the city, many, many others as well. And over, as I've come into the last 2 years, this project's been ongoing for 11 years. It's really exciting to imagine in a few months, this is going to be done and people are going to be able to use it. And I think that the partnership, the three organization partnership that we have is going to be pretty phenomenal and create a really great opportunity. I can't announce the other partner yet because the board has to be able to have that and vote on that at some point soon. But I do believe that it's going to be very positive, and part of that I think that Mr. Orszak was mentioning that's important to remember is that partnership, there are written agreements that have been signed by multiple foundations in the school district and the city that guarantee that there will be community access for that 70% of the time, which I think is really important. So it's not like just a promise, like it's a written guarantee. So I think that's important. The other part I would say, I think even as we look at the rec center and we look at how we're doing this to try to kind of echo what I said last time, and I think what Mr. Johnson said, actually a number of people talked about, how do we collaborate in the same way with the rec center? Because I think there are those opportunities that we can do that to be able to collaborate. I appreciate the question about the sauna and the hot tub. I can't avoid addressing that. We're not going to have a sauna or a hot tub. We actually did look at those items when we were building the pool, but we are not going to have those. As we got towards the completion of what we were going to do, we had to scale back. Our budget did not support what it was intended to be at one point, and the cost of construction, I know we had talked about that last time, has dramatically increased. You know, at one point that pool was going to be 2 pools. And as cost had increased over a 2-year period, it eliminated that opportunity and we had to redo it. So I think that, you know, we always got to keep that part of it in mind too. But I do think the collaboration is a great opportunity, not just for the pool that is a district, but community opportunity, which is really only, you know, 2 blocks away from the rec center. But also at the rec center, I think it's another great area for collaboration as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rambler. Are there any other comments? If not, I would like to turn the floor over to Ms. Tondra Frisbee. Really, so, you know, many of us haven't had the opportunity to see what programming is offered at the Mills School location. So I would really just like to give her this opportunity to offer us some insight, not even so much just about the programming within itself, but as well as the impact that she has witnessed, or sort of, I guess, her testimony in some ways. So if you could, Ms. Tondra, begin to share some of that. Thank you.
And please excuse my voice. I had laryngitis all last week and it's just now coming back. First, Mr. Chair, I'd like to acknowledge and let all the commenters know that I appreciate your comments. And especially Mrs. Moore, your experience and your knowledge. We need more of that, like your experience and knowledge of what mistakes you made in your 15 years at Erie Metro Parks. We love Erie Metro Parks. And I remember you saying a long time ago that, you know, families and kids programming should be free. I don't know how, because I'm not that person, but you are. So thank you for your comments. And I want to thank the fellow Rec Advisory for your willingness to be here. It's inevitable that we will be revisiting this topic, as difficult as it is to understand the context of it. But just to give you a little history, and I think it's only fair for those that are not familiar, from the beginning, when I came into the city youth program position, we didn't have a building, and there was recreation to be done. And I came from Nehemiah Center, where I was programming along with Dr. Kuntz in the early 2000s, and I stayed there until 2017. And it was always about the kids. So the programming at Mills, whether you like it or not, it's the model. It was the model used in the reports. It's the model that was used in the endorsements through the Sandusky Register. It's the model that the former city manager used when he talked about a rec community center. I even noticed that the word community is not even in the title of this facility anymore. It was the model that was used that was urging voters to vote. We made videos about how, you know, these kids come into our programming and the families. I have a family right there that, I mean, even through the pandemic, she brought her child to, when we had to be creative and still have a place for kids to be. And she's here with her daughter who is growing up. I can't believe how big she is now, but, you know, seeing these kids that have come to these programs faithfully every day, parents drop, we don't have to offer transportation. They get there. You know, we have 128 kids that are registered for our summer camp. That's just like Amy's, yours sell out in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
And that's 35 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had 128 kids. It was almost in a little over 24 hours.
God
So
knows.
it's you know, it's proof that these families needed a place for their kids to be, and the kids deserve a place for them to be. And it was the model used when City Commission approved the lease at Mills. In 2022, Mills School was sitting there, and we couldn't utilize the Sandusky City School property for our camp because they had other things going on. So I was like, well, there's a school that I went to in elementary school. It's on the south side. Can we use that building? And once that was okayed and agreed, let's keep it moving. can we be in that building? Because when we moved from Reg Street to here, we don't have a place up there. You know, we were pretty much homeless. That's what we used to say. When we would leave from the 222 Megs, where is the rec department going to go? So we were agreed to, it was voted that we could go into Mills until the facility at American Cran was built. I can't speak for Mr. Johnson, but we both stated it last meeting, that the families that we represent and the families that we serve, the membership model, you're excluding them. The kids that I represent, the families that come here, this is why we are here. And so it was always about the kids program, and I agree that it shouldn't be just that. Me and Jason and Mr. Woopser visited a facility that had all parts. It had kids programming, it had senior programming, it had young adult programming in the same building. So as long as, and this is going to be my motto, we live within our means. If we could figure out how, like Elliot said, the hybrid, if we could figure something out like that, then that's what we should do, because the community has spoken, you know. If you come to Mills at dismissal time and ask the parents who are picking their kids up, would they be willing to pay a membership, or do they? That's how you can find out. But I really don't believe that. I think all families are worthy already to be members of this new facility. Basically, if you're a member of this community, you are already a member of that facility. And living within our means is what I stand on. And again, I just appreciate all the comments, and I appreciate this time for, you know, because Blake, your kids have been coming in my program since I started doing them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's Yashika. Your son has been he's in the comeback kid phase now. So once they move from 8th grade and become freshmen, they get to come back to volunteer and help support the program. Once they become eligible for employment, they can get a job. We hire them. Right. So, I mean, it's the program would never stop like that, but I don't believe it would continue if there was a fee. And just to be clear, you know, there was never a question, and I understand your question, Lee, last week about you never had heard that Mills programming was going to move over there. It was a fair question. But there's never been any doubt for me from the beginning of this. It was always about the kids, and it was always about us moving to the new facility when it was built. And that's all I got right now.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
In the last meeting, I guess I tasked myself with bringing scholarship information that's from other communities. And my apologies that it wasn't in the packet and online, but we will make sure, Kathy and I talked about, we'll make sure it's online. But I did hand out to all of the members here, and then there's also some extra copies up next to the agendas that kind of have what the area programs here in Bellevue, Norwalk, Fremont, Grove City, Ohio, Gahanna, Massillon, and the YMCA of Greater Cleveland, what they offer for folks who may not be able to afford a membership, and how they kind of handle those. It's anywhere from not having a form and working out something with the families, or having a pretty extensive form, which I won't go through all the details, but anything from tax return, check stubs, things like that, that would be involved in some of those scholarship programs that they do offer. So I wanted to make sure that that was part of the meeting, and that everyone here had a copy, or at least knows that it will be on the website here soon. In kind of response, if I may, with some of the things that have already been said, we did travel to Whitehall, which was a great facility down there in the Columbus area. They are under a YMCA membership model. I mean, there is, $62 a month and a $50 one-time joining fee for that facility down in Whitehall. That's kind of what their model is there. They did do a little with the the YMCA Greater Cleveland, they do have that financial assistance, but it is through the YMCA model on there. We offer currently our summer break program. All of our out-of-school programs are at a no cost. They are free, and they are offered not just to our residents, but we do have some folks that come in from other areas. They're great programs. I'm not going to argue, we wouldn't be building what we've been building for the past 6 years here with Sandusky Rec in all facets, not just with our youth programming, but our anything we've done in our beautiful waterfront with the events that we've brought in, trying to make those things happen. The one question I did have, though, and I don't believe, and I was trying to find out, but I don't believe the summer program at Erie Metro Parks, it's like a $75 or $85 a week fee.
The nature camp is the only program we charge for that we generate.
Okay.
If you wanted a certain program, like the Gardeners wanted their own program that only the Gardening Club came to, we would charge you what our cost would be. Another cost for what people may consider programming would be the schools use us a lot for science, and we charge them what our cost is because it's not open to the public.
Okay.
So if you have a program that you'd like to design, we will design that with you, but if the public can't come, in the nature camp is the only public program we charge for, because unfortunately only 35 kids can come, and it's from 9 to 3, and there's 5 staff with them at all times, and we can't service the rest of the public. So there is a fee for that. The other 300 are free. Now, with that said, I want people to realize there's a difference between a membership model and a user model. If somebody's going to come and use something all day, like a field, like a conference room, like a shelter house, there are fees for that.
Yeah.
But for public programming, Congress programming, we would not charge for that.
And trust me, I'm on Friends of Erie Metro Parks, and I was there running with my dog this morning, like using as many parks as I can.
We've done paddling
But,
programs.
Our programs that we currently run at Mills are not anyone can just come in and use Mills School while we're doing the programming. Those are registration-based programs that, you need information from the families. You just can't come in and.
We have limits, and there's registrations, but that's what's so wonderful about the level that you're at right now. You get to invent what you're going to be. My only advice to you, and I've seen this happen to several of these people on this list, do not leave yourself open to the vulnerability of memberships. Because if you try to put that in your budget and you don't strictly do what you know your revenue will do versus what your expenses are, you leave yourself open and vulnerable to disasters. I've seen it. Live through it. It's not fun.
And maybe this is a question for outside of, this committee, but it might help. But in your experience with OPRA, you've helped us in everything that we've been doing with OPRA, but are there current community centers or recreation centers that are in the state of Ohio that have opened to a no membership model and have been successful with that you could either share, not now, but share, that we could bring to the next meeting?
Well, it depends on your funding source. You're one of the first recreation departments I know of that had a levy vote. As a taxpayer, I'm not paying you twice. I'm paying you whether I go or not for my real estate taxes. I'm not paying you to go to. That's how we at Erie Metro Parks always felt. We collect property tax money. That's you paying to come up to us. I'm not dipping you twice. And I don't know of other rec centers that have a levy behind them, or a Cedar Point.
Is it that would be the question, is the operation levy or a construction levy, and how they offset, and how those, I've heard of other recreation levies throughout the state of Ohio, but whether that is offsetting the cost of membership or if that's offsetting a free membership, I would be interested in what place around the state.
You know who we could get a hold of.
Yeah,
to find that out for it. Yeah,
okay.
We can find, but as for a property tax levy, I'm not sure if I know of another recreation center that had, and that's such a gift, because your income, is a guaranteed income. Don't put your revenues past that. If you do, that's bad business.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would
Mr.
just say that the commission strategically, and you were part of it, strategically passed or asked the voters to pass the levy so that we'd never find ourselves in a position that we have to close the rec center when times get tough. I've been here 27 years now. Times got tough a lot, and the rec gets cut first or second. We have basic services that we have to provide to the community, which are necessary. So if this committee and everyone wants us to live within the budget of $600,000, $670,000, we'll certainly do that. The hours of operation and what we're going to provide to the community will be significantly reduced. We are trying to put together our best foot forward. We're almost putting the cart before the horse, right? We have a lot of other decisions to make. So I understand the comments about us having a levy. Most people put together a construction levy, which we're blessed to have Cedar Point admissions tax for that purpose. So we didn't have to find the dollars to construct a recreation center. But that money's going to be there forever. We don't, unless we go back to the voters and want to raise or ask them to raise their taxes, is 670, and 670 not increased over the next 10 years is going to be 670, and we're going to have a lot of costs contributed to that. So I would just say that the commission was adamant that, as you well know, that unless we have funding in place so that we have the ability to do operations and maintenance of this facility, that we wouldn't do it. So I just want the committee to understand that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orzech. And just to kind of,
Yeah.
okay, and just to kind of bring things back to focus, just in regards, as it relates to, the conversation around programming and amenities. And might I add, I think this is a conversation that clearly will not be concluded in a meeting or two, right? But without further ado, I would, hopefully I'm not catching you off guard, but I would like to give the opportunity to Mr. Jerome Johnson, just to sort of like Tandra, really, share your experiences to how important programming is, especially as it relates to our youth.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For me, being on the committee, I had to kind of take my hat off, my Boys and Girls Club hat off, and look at the community as a whole. I feel like pretty much the whole committee is going to take a collaborative effort. I know it was mentioned about, maybe, competitors and things like that, but I think that we shouldn't even be thinking about that. I think we figure out how can we bring a Planet Fitness in, or Next Level in to highlight some of their programs maybe once or twice a month. And, then we'll have community members say, hey, I want to take that program, more than once a month. So I may go over there and join their gym. But how do we collaborate? Even for us, like with Boys and Girls Club kids, we get some kids that neighborhood kids, but I see some of the great programs that Tandra and them have. We would love for our kids to participate in some of those programs. So how do we make that happen? How do we bring the, Bulldogs and AMVETS and all of them together to make, like Tandra said, initially what I thought is a community center, community rec center. How do we bring all that together to make it work? So I think for me, I'm just taking my hat off, and even with my colleagues here on the commission board, I was thinking of Sue Doherty. How do we incorporate our senior programming? I remember going to the Y, and you would see the seniors there. They'd be in Zumba or water aerobics, and just the energy was just nice to, like Pat said, to have everybody under the same roof, but there was programming for everybody. And I think for me, being on this advisory committee is thinking outside the box, taking just my youth hat off and try to think community-wise, what can we do as a community to bring these programs together to highlight, a next level or highlight a Planet Fitness. Maybe they got an awesome instructor, how do we bring that into our rec center? Like I said, you kind of hear the thing in the city, like the competition. I don't believe there shouldn't be a competition. There's enough people in our city. There's enough people coming throughout this city to fill every program. But it's like, how do we make it equitable? How do we make a place like the rec center equitable for our community? How do we make that work? How do we partner with Erie Metro Parks? How do we bring programming to our rec center that's going to benefit the entire population? And I think that, to me, that's the important piece, looking at a lot of the programs that are already offered in our community, not duplicating it, but seeing how do we highlight these programs into one local facility, which is our rec center, and bringing it all together so that our kids are having that optimal experience, that they may not have, that they may only have certain programming at Boys and Girls Club, certain programming at City Rec. How do we collaborate these programs to make it beneficial? And in the long run, I think it'll help us with cost, because now you have different programs, collaborating, and you have those people from those programs running those programs, so that you don't have to hire employees. Now you just need your building monitors and things like that, but you already have it in-house and you're collaborating with programs. So it's like, how do we bring these great programs to the table and see who's interested in collaborating with our rec center? And like I said, not recreating the wheel, but bringing it together so that our community can get the best of all that we have to offer in the city. So I think that's going to be an important piece. Even some of those unsung programs that you may not be as big, how do we incorporate those in our rec center? How do we build programs that help enhance our kids, help enhance our elderly population? How do we bring all that together? So I think, like Blake said, it's a conversation that's probably going to be ongoing, but how do we bring the community to the table with these great programs and incorporate it in our rec center without it feeling like, we're in competition with gyms or whatever? Let's incorporate them. Let's incorporate programs like the Y. They used to offer Zumba, and I can't wait for the rec center because I need to lose some weight. But how do we bring these programs together into our great rec center? And make sure that it's beneficial to the entire community, and just utilizing some of the resources that we have.
Very
Mr.
good.
Harris?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Yes.
If I may just follow up on that, which I think you're spot on, talking about the programming, because the programming will drive the amenities. And then if we want to stay in the budget, we work back. But I think the best thing might be to be able to start looking at the programming is understanding all the programming, have a census of what we offer. I mean, everything from Boys and Girls Club to Nehemiah to the rec center to, gyms, you name it, Metro Parks, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get just a picture, a census of what all the programming is, and that might show us where there is opportunity, where there's opportunity to collaborate, where there's opportunity or voids that we need to fill, or where we can expand if we have things that are limited to a certain amount and we know there's demand, like at the Erie Metro Parks. Once we have that census of what's out there, I think we can start having some data-driven discussions.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
just to follow up, and this might come off as somewhat of a plug for some of the programs, and I've worked out, it's been a running joke for the past week with Tandra having laryngitis that I was her interpreter for a couple of days, but we do have a community collaboration day that we're working with Sandusky City Schools on. It's August 16th, where different entities are coming together for that event. And then as far as the Zumba and the other programs and the other gyms, for the past several years on Saturdays at 8 a.m., we've had peer pressure down at the Jackson Street Pier that will start in June. And our first one is Zumba with Mel, but we also collaborate with Next Level Fitness, Tim Dorsey Fitness, and CrossFit Sandusky to do what you're saying is give residents a free opportunity. That's a free sponsored program that we've done, opportunity to work out with those gyms and get an idea of how those gyms work. So that'll be, again, for everyone taking notes, Jackson Street Pier, from June through September with those gyms at 8:00 a.m.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Everyone kind of talked on the importance of collaboration. I personally and some of my colleagues have had the opportunity to go over to the Mills After School program for over a year now. Every Thursday we go and teach health education to these kids, and it is a really important program, and I would be remiss if that would go away. It's never going to go away because how important it is. You walk in and there's kids, they're organized, they're still running around, but sometimes you have to dodge some dodgeballs. But the collaborations that we've had over the past year shows that it works. So they're happy to have us back. We were actually just talking about setting up times for their summer break camp, and just little collaborations like that teaches these kids and adults too. It shows we've made it work. There's a need for it. People are interested in it, and as we're growing the programming that we need, it's important to look back at things that have already been successful, things that have already started years ago, and know that it's possible. Know that it's possible to have different organizations come down and spend their time and kind of help out the communities, because it is a community rec center. But it is still important to look at the other accessories and keeping the lights on late. If we're only running out of a small budget, I assume that the city doesn't want to run in the red at all. And if we have programming late because people are working, if people can't come to programming at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, what good is that programming? Or if it's more accessible at 6 o'clock when parents can be there, we're going to need to leave the lights on longer. We're going to need to keep everything going. We're going to need people there to unlock the doors, people there to make sure nobody's misbehaving. Those are all things that, with that extra programming, we need to have the people, we need to have the funds. So it's important to keep that in mind as well.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
This is just to be clear, we do have a few programs that we do charge a fee for. Tap Fit is a charge fee. Midtown Supper Club, our culinary program that has been in operation for 6 years and won the best of the best program in the state of Ohio, is a charge program. In Motion with Morgan is a dance program. It's a fee for that. Make It So Easy. Seamstress, it's a fee for that. But with that being said, if we're going to get to new business, before we do, I'd like to make a motion before we go to new business.
Yes, I was going to say,
I
we're
know.
actually, nearly out of time.
So I'd just like to make a motion that we table all discussions about membership fees, dues, or any additional costs to residents until we have developed a plan for the amenities in the program. We must live in our means, but if you want to out the gate talk about membership fees, what? It's like going to McDonald's or going to a restaurant and paying your money, but you don't even know what's on the menu. Like it's out of order to me. So I'd like to make a motion to table all discussions about membership fees so we can talk about developing these amenities in the program.
I have a motion, and do I have a second?
Second that.
All right. Well, with the first and a second, we will table that until we are able to vet through the amenities and programming of the.
And
of
Mr.
the rec
Chair.
center.
You need to have a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you.
Oh.
May I take a vote on that, please?
Leah Lexicos,
Yes.
Elliot Dyer,
Yes.
Rich Finneran, Tondra Frisbee,
Yes.
Blake Harris,
Yes.
Jerome Johnson,
Yes.
Drew Meredith,
Yes.
John Orzak,
Yes.
Dan Rambler,
Yes.
Jason Whirling.
Yes.
All
And
right.
Mr. Chair, one more motion I'd like to make to have this committee affirmed that the Mills programming, Sandusky Rec at Mills, will be moved to the new rec community center, or is that something that the law director needs to speak to? I don't know how that works, but I just need that confirmation because
Yeah,
it is a question.
I would
Can somebody speak
probably,
to that?
yeah, I would probably, just without the law director present, I would certainly probably seek his, his input prior to making any motion of that nature, so.
So it's still questionable whether the Mills programming will be moving to the new facility.
I won't say that. I just, for the sake of us not, we haven't made any concrete motions on anything, so I think just to keep things fair across the board, even as far as the amenities and programming, I think it would be premature to say, hey, I'm just spitballing, but we're going to have a walking track. And then just, stamp that in stone. That's a terrible example, but I hope it sort of maybe kind of gets my point across.
I would just, I think it goes back to what is the scope of our charge? And what are we working within that scope? And that applies to not just what you're talking about now, but anything. What do we have the ability of for decisions and are we just making recommendations or are we making decisions? So again, I think it just goes back to the scope of our charge.
Well, yes, and I think Mr. Rambler also, just made a good point. Please keep in mind, too, that we are an advisory committee. Therefore, ultimately, we're here to make recommendations to our city commission. But for the sake of time, I know I will go ahead and begin to wrap this up. But I would like to just leave you with a couple of things. Please keep in mind that next week, due to the holiday, our meeting will not take place on Tuesday at 5 p.m. However, instead, it will take place on Wednesday, the 29th at 5 p.m. And also, for those who would like to review this packet here that we've all made many references to, you may access that at our city webpage. Please click on the Government tab and then go down to City Publications. In the sixth tab down, you will find planning documents, and then you may click on the Recreation Center conceptual plan. And lastly, I do just want to leave you with this. Really just emphasizing the significant role of this Rec Center Advisory Board will play in shaping the future of our community. Each one of us brings a unique blend of experiences, knowledge, wisdom, ideas, hopes, and desires to this table. I believe it is this diversity that will drive the success of our mission. The process we embark on is not one that can be rushed, as it requires us to take the time necessary to discuss, develop, and thoroughly evaluate the multitude of ideas that will emerge over the coming weeks. Our goal is not merely to make quick decisions, but to arrive at well-considered recommendations that will fit all community members for years to come. Working together, listening actively, and engaging in constructive dialogue are essential to our success. We may not always see eye to eye, and that's okay. What matters is that we approach our discussions objectively, with respect for each other's perspectives and commitment to finding common ground. Therefore, I have a great deal of confidence in this group of brilliant minds, and I believe that together we will develop final recommendations that not only reflect our collective input, but also serve as a source of pride for us all. So without further ado, may I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second? Or did somebody say?
Yeah. Thank you. This is